Okay, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Untuk hari ini, chapter 4 about object and class, and also for part 2, okay, same 2 object and class. Hari ini ada special sikit. Saya akan I'll invited one of the my friend yang has very vast experience in software development, software security, object-oriented, related to object-oriented, very senior software engineer that have many of years developing programs, softwares, applications, and banyaklah, ada 20 tahun pengalaman, okay, dalam bidang computer science ni. So I asked him to share and explain about this chapter particularly, so that we can share his experience a little bit, and hope you can understand and ask question. If you have a question, you can, kalau malu nak ni, boleh chat je, tulis kat chat tu. Okay, his name is Muhammad Rizwan bin Zainuddin. His current position as IT engineer in Malaysian Mosaic MML, Malaysian Mosaic Limited. I think if I'm not mistaken, yeah, Mr. Izwan. And previously he's also already work at the Technip and many more. Ada banyak lagi CV saya nampak ni. So without further ado, I welcome Encik Muhammad Izwan to share with us, to explain with us what is object and class. Maybe you can explain in real world applications, your examples in real world applications. What are the what we really need to know about object and class. Okay, apa yang perlu sebenarnya lah Encik Izwan ya, yang digunakan di luar sana, yang untuk kepada pelajar-pelajar kita ni, pelajar-pelajar saya. Okay, so saya sharekan slide, so nanti Cik Izwan boleh terangkan sedikit-sedikit. So Cik Izwan nanti boleh bagi tahu kat saya je for the next slide and next slide-nya. Boleh Cik Izwan? Cik Izwan, boleh kita mulakan slide pertama? I mean the part 1 lah.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So okay, thank you. You may proceed. So saya tekan slide ya.
Okay.
Alright, okay.
Alright, Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. Hope you're all fine. So today class, we're going to talk about object and class. So in Java, next slide. So for the learning outcomes, today you'll be able to know about class and object concept. You'll understand the concept of encapsulation. You'll also know about constructors and methods in Java. So OOP involves programming using an object. An object represents an entity in the real world that can be distinctly identified. For example, a student, a desk, a circle, a button, and even a loan can all be viewed as objects. An object has unique attributes and behavior. So the attributes are represented by data fields with their current values. A circle object, for example, has the data field of radius, which is the property that characterizes a circle. A rectangle object has the data fields width and height, which are the properties that characterize a rectangle. Next slide. Behavior of an object is defined by methods. To invoke a method, an object is to ask the object to perform an action. For example, you may define method name get area, get perimeter for circle object. Circle object may invoke get area to return its area and get perimeter to return its perimeter. You may also define the set radius method. A circle object can invoke this method to change its radius. Next slide. So this is basically a class. Have you all coding in Java? Started coding in Java?
Yes.
Yes. You've gone to the lab, you see? They're all doing exercises in Java, is it, Dr. Sharin? Already done, is it?
Oh yeah. Oh, I already opened them.
Previous slide.
They coding during lab lah. Okay. Oh, sorry.
Previous slide.
Okay, this one.
Okay. Can you maximize it? So this is basically a class. Class is defined the attributes and behavior for object. So a Java class use variable to define attributes and methods to define behaviors. Variables and methods are also called as members of a class. So basically, in class, you have a variable, a constructor, a method. This is the framework of the class, we call it.
Okay.
So next slide. So this is the UML diagram that represent the class. We have a class called circle up here. The second part is the attribute. The attribute name is radius and the data type is double.
Or attribute can be named as we can call it as variables, right? And data fields.
Yes, variable or attribute is the same meaning.
The same meaning. Okay.
Then the last, previous slide, please.
Previous slide. Oh, this one.
And then the last one, we have a circle here. You see the first one, circle, that's called a constructor. Later we will see what the constructor is, and then the one with the same name, circle, and the circle here is both are constructors. Then you have get area there. The get area is a method with a return value of double.
Okay.
Next slide.
Okay, this is maybe you Mr. Izwan can explain the exercise here. I put just a simple car for the class diagram.
So how do we actually define the UML class diagram for car?
Class, anyone can okay, UML diagram can. Okay, so anyone for car?
The class name is the brand of the car. And the attribute for the car is like its tire, its engine. The attribute is like the part of the car, and the method is how the car functions. Something like this. I don't know how to explain.
Mr. Izwan?
Yeah, quite correct. So basically, we go to the previous slide.
Previous.
So basically, the first one is the car, C-A-R, circle. You replace with car. It's a car name. The class name is a car.
Okay, car.
Okay. Then the attribute, you can have what car have, basically. A tire maybe, like how many tire. And
Real
then,
integer.
yes, you can declare it as integer.
Okay.
Maybe what type of car? Is it a sedan?
Type.
Right,
Oh,
type.
type. Okay, right.
Yes, that's one of the attribute.
Okay. Type is a
The type is a string.
right. Okay. Sorry for tak biasa guna benda ni. Dia macam okay. Right. Then
Then
this
maybe
is
we have a color of the car. Color. It's actually what an object have.
alright.
Yes.
Color string Alright. Then method. Yeah.
So for the method, anybody have an idea?
Just now the student said just now what are the method?
Method is can like turning left, turning right, acceleration, brakes, the what the car can do. Is it like this?
Yes, something like that.
Turn right, turn left, right. Okay. Then acceleration, right? C. So of course ada ke bracket Alright. Okay. Okay. So this is creating object of a class.
So basically you define a class once and you can create many objects from the class. So each object of the class, we call it instance of the class. For example, you see here, C1, we declare as a circle to create a new object from that class. You put new circle. C1 is called an instance. Then we have another one, we call it C2. This one is another instance. And then we can have C3, C4, C5 and so forth.
Okay. Next slide. Okay.
Constructors. What are constructors? Constructors are a special kind of method. It's a method. It is invoked to create an object using a new operator. So they have three characteristics. The name of the constructor must be the same as the class itself. The constructor do not have a return value and not even a void. And the last one, constructors are invoked using new operator when object is created. So constructors play the role of initializing an object. As you can see in this slide,
Which one?
yes. You have first one is the class circle, right? So the second one, double radius, is an attribute or a data field. Then we have like it's like a method, but the name is the same as the class name.
Oh, yes. This is like a method, right? So the name must be same as the class name. It is called constructor, correct?
Yes, it's called a constructor. So circle here is a constructor. Then Down there, the second one is also a constructor as well.
Must be same name, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But the second constructor, you see, it has a parameter.
Oh, this one, eh?
Yes. So basically, constructor is used to initialize an object. When you create new object, the constructor initialize the object. It's like a method, but with the name same as the class.
Mm.
Okay. Next slide.
Okay, this one or this one?
The next slide. Previous slide. So there are three types of constructors: a default constructors, no argument constructor, and parameterized. Default is when you don't define any constructor, the compiler by default will create the default constructor for you.
Mm.
The second one is no argument constructor. It's just now we see the first one. This then we have
This one?
parameterized. Yes, this one. And then we have the down there we have the parameterized constructor. So if you do not implement any constructor in your Java in your class, Java compiler insert default constructor into your code on your behalf. This constructor is known as default constructor. Just now I explained. You will not find it in the source code, as it will be inserted into the code during compilation and exists in .class file. When you run the Java file, it will exist in the class file.
Mm.
So we can have more than one constructor in a class with different parameters. So this concept is called as overloading constructors. So we see the previous slide.
Mungkin dalam kata lainnya.
We see we have two constructors here, right? When we see two constructors, more than one constructors, it is called an overloading constructors. We have many constructors. We have multiple constructors, more than one constructors. That is called overloading constructors. Okay. So this is the example for default constructor. When you write the code in Java, right, you don't define any constructors. Then when you compile, the Java compiler will automatically added it for you, the constructor. So it has nothing inside. Normally for the default constructor, it has nothing inside. Just for the sake of creating an object and initializing the object. Okay, next constructor. Next.
This one. Oh, this one.
Then we have a previous slide. Then we have a no argument constructor. It's the same as default constructor. However, the body can have any code unlike default constructor where the body of the constructor is empty. So this is how you define the no argument constructor. This one is we define it. We can put a code inside it. When we initialize the object, what we want the object to do. When first, whether we want to initialize an attribute, or we want the class to do something else, like print. This one we print to the system. No argument constructor. So next one. So this one is parameterized constructor. It's come with an argument or call parameters. So normally parameter constructor is used to assign value to variable of class. You see here we have parameterized constructor. The parameter type is double, and we use in here we use to set a radius variable to the value of parameterized constructor R. So in the main program here, you create an object. So overloading constructor, it's a technique which class can have more than one constructors that differ in parameter list. So the parameter is different. The compiler differentiates these constructors by taking into account the number of parameters in the list and their type. So here we can see the class main have two constructors. This one is the no argument constructors, the first one. The second one is parameterized constructors. So this is called overloading constructors. Okay. Okay, some exercises.
Okay.
So let's determine what's the output of the following program.
The output will be, this first one will be 4.0 and the second one will be 10, or radius is 4.0 and radius is 10.0.
Yes. Anybody else?
Ada yang lain nak try?
Okay, basically that's the correct answer.
Okay. 0 and 10.0. Right. Okay, this one. This one maybe basically they need to write in a piece of paper or write coding kan? This one.
Yeah.
I think okay, tak apa, kita skip yang ni lah. Saya pun tak terlihat pula ni. Okay, method. I think method is the last for this chapter lah.
What is a method? So method is a collection of statements that are grouped together to perform an operation or action. So after an object is created, a method can be invoked using the dot operator. So for the example, as you can see, we have a class main there. Then we have the method called myMethod. So what the method do is simply printing a hello world text.
In the sini senang cakapnya, dia sini this one go to here.
Yes. So in the main code, you declare you create an object from the class main M. M is an object. M is an object, while main is a class. M is an instance of main class. So how you call the method from the main class? You put a dot after the object or instance. You put M dot what the method is. In this case is myMethod. Okay.
Okay class? Okay tak so far?
Okay.
Okay, good.
A method may return a value or not returning a value. The method's return type must be specifically stated within the method declaration. For example, a method that returns an integer value.
Okay.
So this is the example of method that return an integer value. You have the red color there, int, which is an integer, and then we have the method name get area. And then inside the method, we have a calculation which is called width, which calculates width times height. It returns the value. So the second one is example of method that does not return a value. So for method that does not return a value, it is called you put a void, V-O-I-D. If you see a void method, that means the method does not return any type of value. So it just ends there.
So there are two types. One is return, second one is no return.
Yes. This is the one.
Okay, dia jelas one.
So method also can have parameters and no parameters at all. So the first one we see example here is methods with parameters. So we have two parameters there. For the method get area, we have parameter 1 is W with the type of integer. The second parameter is H with integer value. Then we have the calculation of W times H, which is will be written with the type of integer as well. So the second one is the method without parameters. As you can see, it still have a return value, but it can have no parameters at all.
So Mr. Izwan, so kita nak guna yang mana satu? Yang lebih, which one? The first one ke second one?
It depends on the situation.
Oh, okay. Situation macam mana tu?
When you have a parameter, you must use the first one. If you need a variable to pass on. If you just need a calculation without the parameters, you just use the second one.
Oh, senang cakap, kalau kita di tempat student pun kita we will use the second one lah, this one, because it very simple, right? Because we don't have to use the parameters.
If the value you know, the width and height you know, you don't need to pass the parameters. If the width and height you get from different object or different method, you need to pass the parameters.
Oh, okay.
It really depends on the situation.
Faham tak kelas? Okay tak? Explanation on the method, with or without parameters. Okay tak?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, nanti tak faham nanti. Okay, Encik Izwan, saya ada sediakan juga exercise untuk student buat. So saya berikan diorang masa 5 minit dan mungkin kita boleh discuss about the exercise. Regarding this chapter also, I letakkan saya letakkan Google Form. Saya selalu bagi diorang exercise dalam bentuk Google Form. So boleh?
Boleh.
Sekejap je Encik Izwan, nanti mungkin Encik Izwan boleh explain juga sekejap Kita kacau Encik Izwan sekejap. Suruh dia mana ni? Okay, objek kelas dulu. Okay, tengok kat chat. Okay, masing-masing buat then kita boleh go through sama-sama. So senang bila kita go through, kita terus buat exercise. Okay, the first one. 5 minit maybe. 9.13. 9.18. Bagi masa 5 minit Ada 5 soalan. Biasa saya memang bagi 5 soalan kan. So 5 soalan buat. Okay, tak. After 5 minit kita go through.
Okay, madam.
Alright. Senang. Bila kita kelas, kita terus buat exercise terus untuk korang lebih faham. Lepas ni saya ada buat lagi constructor and method. Okay. Semua pastikan buat saya tak boleh nak nampak ni kalau ada apps yang boleh tengok you buat ke tak. Tapi saya boleh pantau lah sebab kita boleh tengok berapa ramai yang dah buat kan. Object and class. Okay, go. You all jangan risau, buat je sebab we will go through the answers after this. Kita akan discuss terus. Untuk yang mungkin tak dapat buat sekarang tapi sedang mendengar my lecture, saya juga akan letak dekat dalam Otter this Google Form, so you can buat banyak kali pun boleh. Kena ada di luar kan, sedang berada di luar tapi sedang mendengar, so tak boleh nak isi Google Form. Betul tak? Okay. Okay, 1 minit lagi. Okay, dah 20 orang jawab. Okay, so Encik Izwan, kita mana ni tadi? Classes, object, classes. Alright, we go through the Google Form Boleh? Encik Izwan, maybe tak, saya tak ada inform Encik Izwan tentang explanation about this Google Form, but I think boleh Cik Izwan bantu saya lah dalam explanation ini. Google Form ya.
Madam,
Ah.
Google Form ni tak ada tengok result
Sebab tu saya nak discuss ni sekarang terus.
Okay.
Sekejap ada telefon pula. Okay. Sekejap. Okay, nampak tak yang saya share Google Form ni? Encik Izwan nampak juga tak?
Nampak.
Yep.
Okay, Encik Izwan. Okay, so the first one, attribute of an object can include information about macam mana Saya bagi jawapan terus Encik Izwan. Nanti jawapannya state. Okey tak? Tahu tak kenapa jawapan dia state? Berapa ramai dapat state ni?
Sebab apa dapat state?
Dapat state tadi. Aiman ke Rafiq yang cakap ni tadi?
Kan macam mana boleh dapat state?
Macam mana dapat state? Encik Izwan, macam mana boleh dapat state? Attribute of an object can include information about
Basically, method and behavior is the same one. So state is equal to attribute lah. Just remember that lah.
Okay. Bagus kan Cik Izwan ni, saya yang buat soalan, Cik Izwan yang bagi penerangan. Tak apa. Okay, which of the following is the correct way of creating an object? Okay, mana jawapan dia? Saya, you all bagi jawapan dulu, then saya bagi jawapannya. Macam mana nak create object? Tadi Cik Izwan dah terangkan.
Saya rasa C kot.
Pandai je kamu C, ada bulat-bulat je kat situ.
Bulat yang ketiga madam.
Yang bertiga.
Okay. Ajuk je. Macam mana Cik Izwan, boleh terima?
Yeah. Correct.
Okay. Bulat yang ketiga So from the following snippets, choose the correct syntax for declaring a class. How to declare class? Okay, bulat yang keberapa?
Kedua.
Yang kedua. Yang kedua.
Kedua.
Kita buat macam ni baru dia orang ni lah. Sebelum-sebelum ni kelas senyap je dengan saya pun Cik Zuan. Dia kena buat macam ni selepas ni, saya lah. Okay, kelas kedua. Betul Cik Zuan? Okay. Last one, second last. What are the parts that constitutes a UML class diagram? Bulat yang ke?
Saya rasa yang keempat kot.
Saya pun rasa macam tu.
Empat kot.
Semua ada.
Semua ada. Betul Cik Zuan?
Yes, correct.
Okay, good. Bagus. Maksudnya student faham ni tadi. Which of the following are proper rules that need to be considered when creating a UML class diagram? Proper rules. Biasanya must have at least name. In order. Okay. Which one is true lah sebenarnya kan? Right. Bulat yang ke? Kelas.
Yang pertama madam.
Satu kot.
Pertama.
Yang pertama je.
Okay. Alright. Correct. So ini yang pertama Okay. So saya tutup. Then kejap. Ini bukan method. Kemudian saya bagi constructor kan selepas tu. Okay, constructor. Jom buat constructor pula. Okay, stop presenting. Okay, second Google Form about constructor. Yang tadi kita terangkan pasal constructor. Okay, 5 minutes. Lima minit, 9:31. Okay. Tak payah 5 minit lah Saya bagi 2 minit macam tu je lah. 5 soalan. Alright. Salah atau tak dapat jawab, tak mengapa. We will discuss after this. Okay, kita go through entire screen. Okay, constructors. Cik Izwan, are you still here with us?
Yes.
Okay. Which of the following statements about constructors is false? Class, bulat mana? Bulat 1, bulat 2, bulat 3, bulat 4.
Bulat 3.
Bulat 3.
Bulat mana Cik Izwan?
Bulat number 3.
kita tanya Cik Izwan. Dia boleh jawab tak? Bulat number 3. Okay. Okay, good. Semua yang jawab dengan saya pun betul. Okay. What would be the correct way of declaring a constructor given the class below? Okay, public class, Gino. How to declare a constructor. Okay, class, bulat yang first, second, third, fourth.
Second.
Yang kedua.
Cik Izwan, betul tak?
Bulat yang kedua.
Cik Izwan, betul tak yang kedua? Kenapa yang pertama tak boleh, ketiga tak boleh? Kenapa yang pertama, yang kedua tak boleh? Kelas? Okay, tak apa. Kita tengok yang ni pula. Ketiga, which of the following would be the correct output given the code snippet below? Just test. Okay, saya buat just test ni. Dan ada public class main, just test A, new just test. Then method just test tu, hello constructor. Correct output, bulat yang first, second, third, runtime error. Which one?
Yang first.
Okay. Alright. Betul? Okay, next. Choose the correct output given the Java program below. Exercise constructor lah for this one. Name of the method. So ada dua. Void exercise constructor, print out China. Exercise constructor, print out Hong Kong. So which one? Bullet number? Kelas bullet number berapa ni?
Balik number 2.
Try.
Nombor 2 rasanya.
Tak pasti lah.
Tak sampai lagi sini.
Sampai. Jujur benar. Okay. Okay, Encik Izwan boleh bantu saya mungkin simple explanation why this answer is Hong Kong. Because we created two constructors here kan.
The first one is considered a function.
The void exercise constructor.
Yes.
Okay. So,
So the constructor is only the second one lah.
So dia takkan print China tu lah.
Takkan.
Oh. Okay.
bagus. Kalau macam ni, siapa tadi? Muhammad tanya je. Okay. Susah saya nak dapat Encik Izzuan ni, tanya je lah. Saya cuba dapatkan lagi untuk chapter last Boleh tak kelas?
Boleh.
What is the correct output for the Java program below? Okay, dah sampai tak? Oh, bird watch. Berapa bird ni? 0, 1, 2, 3. Bullet ni ke berapa?
Circle number 3.
Correct. Okay. Do you need explanation?
Yes, madam.
Boleh juga.
Blur-blur kita minta tolong Cik Izzuan lah. Cik Izzuan, macam mana ni bird watch ni?
Bird watch ni, we go to the main coding. So bird watch, the class, right? So you create a bird object by creating you call new bird watch. You created a new object lah. Then it called the constructor. You call the constructor. This one constructor no parameter. You see.
And the first this one
We have two constructors. That means constructor overloading. So we call the first constructor which does not have any parameter.
Yang bawah integer birds one
Okay.
Okay.
This one integer birds is a what is called this one bird. Bird is called a
Class, tolong.
Variable?
yes, correct, variable. So when this object call the first constructor, it called this, right? See this, right? This refer to the bird watch class itself. See this? It's called the constructor number 2, number second. You see? This refer to bird watch class. It's not refer to the birds object. It refer to the bird watch class. It's called itself. This called constructor number 2, which has birds parameter here. It pass the value 2 to the birds parameter, and then it prints the birds equal to 2. That's how you got the birds equal to 2.
Okay. Boleh faham tak?
Boleh.
Faham.
Kenapa dia tak print 1 tu kan? Mungkin kenapa dia tak print 1 tu Encik Izzuan?
That's because the first constructor call the second constructor and pass the value 2 as a parameter.
So 1 tak ada dalam cerita ni lagi lah kan? Birds equal to 1 tu.
Yes, not in the story.
Okay. Okay, faham semua?
Faham Ilham?
Alright. Okay, lastly, method. Okay. Method ni dah nampak tak method? Dekat screen nampak tak method saya?
Nampak.
Nampak?
Okay, so kita terus je lah. Kalau terus kita boleh kalau habis awal boleh habis awal. Kalau tak tunggu 5 minit lagi. Sama je kan awak isi. Tunggu 5 minit pun ada yang okay, kita kena husnuzon. Awak memang mengisinya. Okay, so terus je lah. Which of these statements about methods is correct? Which one do you think? Bullet number. Methods can have no parameters at all. Methods may or may not return a value.
Bullet number 4.
Salah. Okay. Bullet number 4. Methods can have no parameters at all. Tadi Cik Zuan cakap macam tu. Ni ada yang baru masuk. 9.38. Or maybe line internet dia. Okay, next. Methods may or may not return a value. Betul? Ada value, ada tak ada value. Methods name can be same as class name. Okay. Okay, number 2, which of the following method declaration is correct for a method that receives 2 integer values and does not return any value? Dia tak return any value.
Yang ketiga.
Yang ketiga.
Saya rasa yang ketiga kot.
Cik Zuan betul ke yang ketiga?
Yes, correct.
Nampaknya mereka memang concentrate pada Cik Izwan. Which of the following method declaration is correct for a method that receive a string value, a float value, string value, float value and returns an integer value? Lain sikit dengan yang atas
Bullet number 1.
Saya rasa pun nombor 1 juga.
Okay. Sebab dia returns integer value kan. Yang atas tadi does not return any value kan. Okay. Correct? Okay. Choose the correct output given the Java program below. Product. Okay. Ni macam mana? Rasanya bullet yang mana? Tak ada rasanya lah, kena betul-betul.
Yang kedua.
Yang kedua.
Kenapa bukan yang pertama?
Sebab method tu dia public string. So dia takkan buat operation tambah and then dijadikan parameters tu dalam bentuk string. So dia akan product of X and Y is 5, 6 macam tu. Faham tak?
Oh, faham? Okay. Betul Cik Izwan betul
Ya, betul.
Sebab mungkin Cik Izwan boleh terangkan juga 5, 6 ni. Okay.
Dah betul lah tu.
Siapa tadi terangkan? Siapa tadi namanya?
Saiful.
Bagus lah Saiful. Okay, sebab ni ada public string. So dia letak 5, lepas tu dia letak 6 je kan? Okay, lastly, output. Saiful.
Saya rasa yang ketiga. Yes.
Okay, Cik Izwan jawapan dia apa? Kita tanya Cik Izwan.
Should be 3 lah, number 3.
Because?
Because?
Ini ada tricky sikit, mungkin student nampak tricky sikit lah sebab ada dot-dot kan.
Here you two object is created for from class trial, object A and object B. So the first one, the first one, object A, call a method number and pass the parameter 7. Right. Pass the parameter 7 to the method number. So what the method number? We go to the method number.
Naik atas. Okay.
Right. So the parameter 7 is passed to the variable q. And then you see this dot q. This dot q is the q.
7 lah.
Q for the object. Q for the object. The initial value is 0. So when you pass the value to the method number, it equals the attribute value of the object to the parameter value 7. Same goes to the second object. B. You set the attribute by calling the method number. And you pass the parameter 8 to set the attribute value 8. So when you print out, you call the object a.q and b.q is 7 and 8 lah.
And dia tak buat addition lah dekat sini.
No, because it is a string.
Okay. Okay, faham kan semua? Student?
Faham.
Faham.
Alright, so Encik Izzuan, kita boleh proceed to chapter part 2. Part 2 is access modifiers and encapsulation.
Okay.
Ready tak?
Okay.
Oh, okay. Can I just show like this or you need to for me to
Make it bigger.
okay. Can you see my slide in the slideshow?
Yes.
Okay. Actually, it is access modifiers here. Just a little bit of slides. So, maybe you want to see first this one. Plus, sorry sebab I memang tak bagi slide ni pada Cik Izzuan dulu. Dia sebagai seorang programmer tegar ni, dia memang dalam kepala dia je. So dia explain ni dalam apa yang pengalaman dia lah. So saya nak bagi dia nampak ni slide yang saya sediakan ni. So this one. So sebab tu you nampak saya scroll untuk Cik Izzuan. So, lain lah kan daripada industry people kita panggil. Dia hari-hari punya kerja guna object oriented ni, OOP. So dia dah tahu dah errors. Okay. Okay, this one Cik Izzuan.
So what is access modifier? Java uses certain reserved words called modifier to set the access level for classes, variable, constructors and methods. Example of modifiers are public, private, protected and default. So a class can use just 2 of the 4 access control level, default or public, but members can use all 4. Okay, default access. A class with default access has no modifier preceding it in the declaration. This is the default class. A class with default access has no modifier. Okay. The default access is considered as package level access because a class with default access can be seen only by classes within the same package. What do you mean by package? Package, you can imagine package is like a folder lah. Like
folder lah, macam folder kita biasa kita tengok dalam yang kita create tu lah. Yeah.
You can imagine like that lah. Package is so you can when you manage a class, you have so many class, right? You manage it, you package it in a separate package lah, or separate folder. So you group together lah, a group of class, right, in a one package. So default class here, default access means only class inside the same package can access the other class. Okay. Okay, next slide. So public access, a class declaration with the public keyword gives all classes from all package access to the public class. In other words, all classes in the Java universe have access to public class. However, if a public class you are trying to use is in different package from the class you are writing, you will need to import the public class. So the my class will be here we have my class with the access modifier. Access modifier is in front. It's a public or private. So my class will be visible to all classes in all packages. The class can now be instantiated from all other classes, and any class is now free to subclass or extend from it. Okay. Okay, next slide. So in addition to the public and default visibility modifiers, Java provides the private protected modifiers for class members. The private modifiers makes methods and data field accessible only from within its own class.
Okay, so next, I think figure 4.1. Which one?
Okay, for example, this one, right? You see these two? These two is inside the same package, P1, the first one and second one. While the third one is belong to the P2 package.
Okay. P1 and this one is same package.
Okay, imagine package is a folder lah. This one is folder 1, this one is second folder, P2, P1 and P2. So this class, you can access modifier, you can put in front of attributes as well as the method. Okay. So we have here two attribute here, integer x from class C1. We have two attribute x and y. The first one, x, you declare as a public. The y is a default, right? Then the third one is a private. Okay. So what does it mean? This means this public integer x can be accessed by all class, even if the other class is in different package.
This one also can use here.
Yes, correct. It,
Can use here.
yes,
Because this is different class, right? This one is class C2, right? This one is different package and different class.
the second one, y, can be accessed only by class within the same package.
Means
I mean
this
the object from the class C2 can access object of class C1 without any access modifier. But you see in C3 we cannot access the attribute y. We can create the object because C1 is public, right? The class itself is a public. You can create an object of C1, but you cannot access the attribute of y because it is not declared public. and it's a different in a different package. And the third one is a private. So private means that only that object can access from that class. Not even from other class. Although it is in the same package, it's more restricted.
So cannot
So
access.
cannot.
Okay.
Same goes to the method of the classes. Okay.
Same goes here lah. The method. Okay. Like this can invoke or cannot invoke, right?
So
Okay.
if a class is not defined as public, it can be accessed only within the same package. Okay.
Terus ke sini kot. Okay.
Object C is used inside the class C. Okay. Here C is created from the class C. So the object is created inside its own class, right? So it can access the attribute X, Boolean, although it is declared as private.
Right.
And as well as the method, it also can access the private method of its own class. And then we go to the second one, class test, right? You see, it can create a new object from C class, right? Because the C class is declared as the access modifier is public. You see, in front the class C is a public. So here, the test inside the test class main program, you can still create a new create a C object, but you can't access the
X one.
attribute and the method, because it is private for the class itself only. For the C class, it's exclusive. Exclusive for that particular class only. So other class cannot use it. Okay. So if you want to use it, you have to declare it as a public.
Okay, I think this one also explain the same explanation, right, Cizwan?
Yes.
Do you want to explain this?
This one.
Or this one, I think same, right?
Yes.
Okay, until the tier person.java and main.java. You want to explain this or this one?
This one, the main variable is private. Okay, it can access from outside class. The variable aspect.
This one lebih nampak lah. Okay, I think this one lah.
Okay, you can see this one. The first one, although it is in the same package, right? Person and main.java. You see?
Package yang sama kan? Okay.
Yes, the person.java don't have any main program, right? So the main program is inside the main.java.
Oh, okay.
Alright.
Main.
So the main.java can still use create an object from person class because it's a public class. So it create a person class, person object from my obj object from the person class, and then it want to set the name, the one of the attribute, right? As John. This will produce error because the name attribute is private.
Here.
Yes.
So if
So
one
how do you set the name attribute? Either you change this private to public, or you can call the method set name from the person because it is declared as public, and this is called a mutator. You set having a set method to set a value to the attribute. This is one way.
This one can be removed.
You can either you change this private to public, or you maintain it as a private. You call this method set name to set the value of the name attribute.
Okay, faham tak kelas? Saiful, okay? Oh tak apa, kita rekod ni Cik Izwan, so student boleh refer to this recorded video dan ulang banyak kali lah kalau mereka tak faham, and then we will give them exercise just like that, just like previous exercises that I give to them yang Google Form tu kan, nanti kita mungkin mereka lebih faham lah. Okay. Macam kita dululah, kita pun blur-blur juga kan masa mungkin kan Cik Izwan lah, saya lah dulu saya blur-blur sikit apa nak pass over ni ada sedikit kurang faham. Okay, so sekejap. Next ke?
Yeah.
Next dah masuk encapsulation. So encapsulation, I have this one, and ada code examples, circle with static members.java. Then I have sebelum okay, itu saja untuk encapsulation. So maybe penerangan secara simple explanation what is encapsulation.
Okay. Encapsulation deals with the process of combining data and behavior in one package and hiding the implementation of the data from the user of the object. So the key to making encapsulation work is to have methods never directly access member variables in a class other than their own. So programs should interact with object data only through the objects method. So by encapsulating object data, you maximize reusability, reduce data dependency and complexity, and lastly minimize debugging time. This means that we declare member variable as private and declare public methods and manipulate them. This is the concept of encapsulation. So basically, the concept of encapsulation means that you declare a member variable as private and you declare their method as a public, and you manipulate them through the method. Like we saw in the previous slide.
Next.
Yes.
Okay.
So as you can see here, we have circle with static members, static-members.java. So the data field radius and number of objects in the circle class can be modified directly. This is not a good practice for two reasons. First, data may be tampered with. For example, number of objects is to count the number of objects created, but it may be mistakenly set to an arbitrary value. So second, the class becomes difficult to maintain and vulnerable to bugs. So suppose you want to modify circle with static members class to ensure that the radius is non-negative. After other programs have already used the class, you have to change not only the circle with static members class, but also the programs that use it. So because the clients may have modified the radius directly. For example, C1 for radius equal to -5.
So in a simplest way to understand this,
You use method to manipulate the attribute. Okay.
that is encapsulation.
Yeah, that is encapsulation.
Means that again, encapsulation is to manipulate.
To use method to manipulate a member of variable. A variable of the class.
Okay, next slide ke?
Yeah. So to prevent direct modification of data field, you should declare the data field private using the private modifier. This is known as data field encapsulation. A private data field cannot be accessed by an object from outside the class that defines the private field. However, a client often needs to retrieve and modify a data field. To make a private data field accessible, provide a getter method to return its value. To enable a private data field to be updated, provide a setter method to set a new value. A getter method is also referred to an accessor, and a setter method to a mutator. Okay.
To get method dengan set method.
Yes, get method and set method. Okay, next slide. So this is the example. So we have two class, student class and test student from the same package. So you set the string name. The name is a attribute or a member variable. You set as private. Then you create two method here. First is get name to get the
name.
The variable. It is called an accessor method. And second one, you create a set name with public as modifier, access modifier. This one is called mutator method.
Both are using public. Okay.
Yes, because you need to access them from different classes. So different classes can access this method. So you private the member variable, but you make the get name and set name as public. So you can manipulate the variable. As you see in the test student, right? Test student class, it creates a student object, right? And then it calls set name to set the value of the variable name, because you cannot directly access the member variable because of the private here we set. So we can control, actually we can control how you can do some error checking here before you put the name is a name value. You can do some error checking, filter before you set the variable value. Sorry. Then this one, how you call the
Get me.
get the
Salah.
value of the variable. S dot get name. Okay.
Saya tersalah. Salah draw. Okay, this is set. Okay.
So mutators is a method in a class to assign value of private variable. It is also called a status. So assessors, a method in a class to display the value of variable. It is also called a getters. An assessor can be a type of returning or not returning value and with or without parameter.
This one is they need to write.
Okay.
So as student, they don't need to remember all these terms, right? In real world, maksud saya dia tak perlulah hafal sebenarnya. Do they need to remember as your experience, Encik Izzuan? Encik Izzuan memang hafal ke mutators ni setters, yang ni mutators, ni accessors.
No.
Okay. Sebab student kena maksudnya dia tak nak dengar cakap saya selalunya, dia selalu nak dengar cakap orang yang dah kerja di industri kan. So okay, dengar kelas, so you maksudnya mereka tak payah maksudnya pening-pening lah sebenarnya. Kita kena fahamkan konsep je. Betul tak Encik Izzuan?
Yes.
So, ya, kita akan nampak beberapa macam daripada tadi pun kita dah nampak we have to term encapsulation, terms mutators, terms accessors. This is just terms lah, but when we come to the programming, kita terus guna je kan?
Yes.
Okay. Faham tak yang kelas?
Faham.
Okay. Okay, lastly I think passing objects to methods. I think sama je macam, okay, dua slide lagi before we wrap our session today. I think this one.
Passing objects to methods. You can pass object to method like passing an array. Passing an object is actually passing reference to the object. Consider the following class name, circle with private data field. So you have a class. Okay. Next slide.
Oh, next slide.
So this is how the following code pass the MySQL object as an argument to the print circle method. You can also pass the an object as parameter. It is called pass by reference.
Means that?
Means that
Object.
you can pass an object as parameter lah to the
This one is object, right? Object.
yes.
So
The principle, you see, principle is a method inside test class, right? So you pass the MyCircle object to the principle method, and then you can do whatever you want to do, any calculation, you want to print something, and by accessing the object. You can access all the method variables of the object when you pass the object itself.
That's all. Okay, so okay, that's all, Cik Izwan. But please stay for a while. Thank you for explaining, discussing with us for chapter 4. Any last apa nak cakap? Nasihat lah mungkin, as for industry people, okay, for OOP ni sebenarnya memang akan digunakan lah dalam programming, mostly programming ya.
Yes. You need to do a lot of exercises lah for this kind of thing, right? This one is for programming, so you have to do a lot of exercises lah.
But how if students not interested in programming? Susah nak faham. How kita nak ubah?
You have to start with simple programming first lah. And then you have to understand the concept lah.
Any other questions from my students? Tanya je apa-apa dalam 1-2 minit ni sebelum kita wrap. Apa-apa je boleh tanya. Boleh apa-apa saja. Cik Izwan regarding not regarding this chapter sajalah. Okay. Ada Saiful tadi yang dan lain-lain?
Madam nak tanya boleh? Tapi
Ya.
soalan saya ni luar berkaitan dengan OOP lah.
Okay.
Apa ni? As a experienced IT, what's Sir Edwan recommend to learn skill of IT in apa ni? Yang industri perlukan sekarang ni.
Ya. Mereka ni mostly BIM, mereka multimedia. Oh, tapi bidang Cik Izwan bukan multimedia Tak apa ke Cik Rafiq?
Tak apa, boleh je.
Multimedia.
Mungkin Cik Izwan punya bidang security, right?
Yes.
So, tak apalah, mungkin ini menjawab soalan Rafiq tadi macam mana? Any skills kan yang diperlukan oleh pelajar?
Any skills, I think I have to equip yourself lah with the latest tools in the market.
All? We need
Not
to...
Not all. You need to start with some at least learn the new tools because technology change quite fast, right? But the basic foundation you must you must be strong lah. But the later on you can learn by yourself. That one.
Basic macam means this OOP is basic.
Yes. You need to understand the concept lah. The concept.
C++, they have learned C++, they need to understand the
Yes.
basic.
Basic concept. If you have the basic concept, you can apply everywhere.
Macam Cik Izzuan jugalah, macam dulu kita tak diajar Python dan sebagainya kan.
That one you can learn by yourself.
Tapi sebab kita pada zaman kita equipkan dengan C++ and other basic programming language that then fundamental tu dah kuat, then kita boleh maksudnya pergi ke mana-mana begitu.
Yes. Meaning right now if you want to learn web development, choose any language. Doesn't matter. VB.NET, ASP.NET, whatever. Choose any language. Basically the concept is the same.
Okay. Any other questions lagi?
Okay, thank you sir.
Welcome.
Okay, I think kita sampai di sini saja. Boleh kita panggil lagi Encik Izzuan lagi ke untuk our last chapter 5 kita nanti?
InsyaAllah.
Okay, kita tengok masa Encik Izzuan ada. Sekarang pun Encik Izzuan WFH sebab ada COVID di tempat kerja. Ya, nampaknya
Yes.
nampak di bilik nampaknya tu.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So while working, I think so. You are while working while delivering our talk here.
Yes.
Working right now, right? You are not on leave.
Yes.
Okay. So we should be thankful to Encik Izzuan. So maksudnya kena multitasking jugalah waktu kerja nanti, boleh kena kerja memang kena perah betul-betul lah ya waktu kerja. Can we say like that? Kita nak bagi ni pencerahan ni kepada student-student kita, maksudnya dia nampak macam kerja tu best kan macam.
You have to manage your time well lah.
Oh, okay. Alright. Okay, so I think kita boleh tutup our session with Tasbih Kifarah and Surah Al-As. Okay, thank you all. Yang chapter 4 part 2 exercises saya akan beri, I will give to you once we start with chapter 5 as revise back lah. Okay, the chapters that we have learned this week. So next week bila start chapter 5 tu, saya akan bagi Google Form tu and we will go through chapter 4 part 2 exercises. Okay, boleh semua?
Boleh madam.
Okay.
Boleh.
Okay. Thank you Benny and Rafiq, very active, and all of my students yang aktif dalam ni. Terima kasih semua. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye.
Thank you Madam Answer.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you madam.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, madam.